Welcome to Success is a System. Here's your host, Michael Green.
Change the rules. We all went to school, we all had a place that we grew up, people who were around us, peers, media, culture, all the rest of that. All these things trying to teach us what's right and what's wrong. Mostly what those rules were about was about norming, was about fitting in, was about not bugging other people, keeping our stuff locked up, keeping it all zipped up, not causing trouble for anybody else. Particularly the rules around how we work and what we are in relation to the world. These rules that we mostly picked up along the way can have a profound impact on us later on, once we're mature, once we're our own man, our own woman, and we're out in the world making choices. But the problem is that many of those rules, they were for a time and for a place and a specific set of conditions. And yet what happens over time is that we take those internalized rules, those internalized ways of doing things, and our brain starts to summarize on them. Our brain starts to try to make one rule for all conditions, and that's not the way the world is. It's convenient for the brain and for the way that the brain likes to work, but it's not going to help you if you're trying to go beyond what you've done before. Bottom line, here's an idea. If the rules that you're using about what to do, what not to do, what's working, what's not working, what you should and shouldn't do under certain circumstances, if it doesn't work, change those rules. Now, some people, when I talk about these things publicly, immediately hands go up or people start going, yes, but there are things that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't murder people and all the rest of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, it's a good thing not to kill other people. You have to have some sense about you. When someone tells me that they can't achieve what they want to achieve because, and they give 5 or 6 rules. I can't do that because if I do that, I can't do this because of that. And if that happens, then I won't do this. All fantasy stuff based on scenarios of stuff that most likely will never occur. The trouble is they've got too many certainties about what must be so that actually aren't so at all, and not enough experiments to find out what you need to make things really work. My favorites, people who have to do tons and tons of research. I can't do anything until I know everything. I can't take a step forward until I have the entire plan. Or people who say, I mustn't ever look foolish. I always have to be together. I always have to have it together. And if I'm not together, then I'm not ready to start. Lists, and it just goes on and on and on. These rules that are made up, they're quite often what's standing in the way. But again, you're going to hear me say this a lot of times. If you don't know what the rules are, and if you don't catch yourself in action with them, you aren't going to be able to hack them. You need to do some thinking about the game rules. Let me give you an example. One fellow whose output was rather low spent a lot of time engaging in what we call distraction activities. Too much internet, too much email, too much Twitter, too much Facebook, would amble through the day, had no plan to do things, felt that to make up a list and to commit to something was too much of a constraint on his freedom and on his creativity. And most importantly, his energy. And he had an amazing, long cover story about why he couldn't do X because he was too tired or didn't have enough energy to make it all the way through. And everything was just too much effort. Guess what? This chap had created a life of conditions and results of all of those rules. There was no mystery in it. There was no deep psychological probing that needed to be done. What he had done was created a set of rules and a rule structure and then lived within it. I want you to catch your top 5 rules. And I'm not talking about abstraction. I believe in God or the universe is a cold and awful place. I'm not talking about that big, fluffy, philosophical stuff. I'm talking about catching yourself in the act, making decisions or not making decisions, of moving forward or not moving forward on the basis of some kind of rule. You catch yourself with either, I shouldn't do that, I should do that. It's referred to as shoulding yourself. The situations where you make a decision to delay. Anytime you make a delay, particularly in small things, catch the rule that's being operated there. Spend some time catching yourself making the world unworkable. Then you stand a chance of hacking that so that you can make it so it's a world that does work and a universe where everything is possible.